What's going on, everybody? Aidan from Birds vs. Boys here. It is the end of June. We're about a month from training camp, not even real games, just training camp. So you know what that means when it comes to NFL content. Hot takes, because we got to fill the air with something, and that's what these national media publications are doing. Just filling it with hot takes until they have real football to talk about, and it has brought up the Eagles. So let's react to what they have said and all the crazy hot takes we have heard in the last week. Before we do, and before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We just had a big interview last week. I'm going to talk about it. Our last show, we did talk about the submarine for about 20 minutes. That's where we are in the season. And just like we said, it's going to be a month until we have real football to talk about. But make sure to subscribe. Kevin's doing some videos. I'm doing some videos. We'll have videos coming out each week and pretty much every other day at this point. And like this video, so it's filling your YouTube feed all the time. All right. So let's get into it. And where to start? What happened that the Eagles in this past week just keep coming up, and now we're doubting Jalen Hurts and all of these different things? Let's start with the most recent one because it's the Eagles one as a whole, and then we can group the two a little bit crazy Jalen Hurts takes here together. So Colin Cowherd was talking today about the Eagles' chances to go back to the Super Bowl and saying, you know what? It's not a guarantee. It's never a guarantee for anybody, which that part is fair. And he said there's some blinking lights about the Eagles. Basically, his point was, and let's show the screen that he brought up. There's been drop-offs before, and it could be that the Eagles are the team that drops off this year. And mentioned injuries. Okay, like that's fair, but let's start to go through these teams. You look at the Rams last year who won the Super Bowl and then were awful this year. Matthew Stafford and the offensive line got hurt, but that's a Rams team that infamously did the fuck those picks and just didn't build for the future. The Eagles went to the Super Bowl, doubled down, had multiple first-round picks, took two kids from the defense that won the national championship, and still have a young core. And then you go through the next few, it's all quarterback injuries. So it's like Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson both got hurt. That's what led to the Seahawks being 11-5 to 7-10. Ravens 12-4, they go 8-9. And then Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, and that dynasty kind of ends right then and there. And he goes on to the Bucs, and they win. Jimmy G gets hurt. Obviously, the 49ers bounced back this year with Brock Purdy and got back to the NFC Championship. The Cam Newton injury, this is a famous one to me, where the Panthers as a team have never recovered since then. And we'll see what they do with Bryce Young. They were 11-5, and that was in 2018, but I'm talking about like the Super Bowl year. I feel like they've just never recovered from that in general. So here, what's the overarching trend here when we look at this list? Yeah, if there's a catastrophic injury to the quarterback, your season usually gets derailed. Is that the take? Is that it? Like, yeah, if your quarterback has a season-ending injury, you're probably going to suck. So if that's the blinking light for the Eagles, that's the blinking light for 32 teams in the NFL. If your quarterback season ends and your franchise guy is out, it's over. Should you do a video about the Chiefs? Because if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, yeah, there's a lot of blinking lights for the Chiefs as well. Lamar Jackson just signed the contract with the Ravens. They have big expectations. Brought Odell in. If he gets hurt, yeah, the season's probably over. We just saw it this past year. So if that is the groundwork for this take that the Eagles should be concerned, and it's not a guarantee that they go back to the Super Bowl just because of injuries, okay, like, yeah, that's something that I'm very conscious of and that we're all very conscious of. And I think we should be very actually conscious that the injury luck last year was fantastic, and hopefully the law of averages doesn't flip on us this year. He also brought up the offensive line getting older. Kind of. Like, Jason Kelsey's getting older, and Lane Johnson is in his 30s, but Landon Dickerson's going to be going into year 3. Jordan Mailata's under age 27, and we presume Cam Jurgens is going to be the new guard. And if it's not him, it's probably Tyler Steen, and you're getting a guy who's either in his second year or his first year. So a lot of the problems a lot of these teams had was their core got older, and it ended. For the Eagles, a lot of this core is young, and they're trying to develop these guys and bring in all these Georgia people so that they have quite the lengthy duration of this window. And it's my favorite thing about it is they didn't sell their future to get to the Super Bowl. They invested organically and traded for a guy like A.J. Brown, who was only 24, to match with Jalen Hurts, who was still under 25, and started drafting all these guys from the Georgia defense who have performed well there, and drafted guys like Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson. So you have young guys all over the field. So the core is very young. And so injuries are always a possibility, but if that's the blinking light for it, okay. If you said, oh, I just don't think that they can put this together, I don't think that they have the depth at safety, I don't think they have the playmakers at linebacker, I don't know what to expect because they have two different coordinators now, those would be all fair takes. But if your take is, yeah, the quarterback might get hurt, oh, okay, yeah, yes, that could happen. Now do the video about the Chargers and let me know how their season would go if Justin Herbert got hurt in week 2. Yeah, it's the same for everybody. Now, speaking of Jalen Hurts, if he got injured, something like that, there were 2 takes last week, and I don't know if these were related, and this is what got the people on the topic, but let's start with Nick Wright because this one was a little bit more mild, and let's get to the all-time take as the grand finale. So, he said, are you guys thoroughly convinced that Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback? I'm not thoroughly convinced yet. The funny thing is, it's not that I don't think it'd be just like, It's not that I'm not yet 100% convinced that he can come close to duplicating last year. If he can, they'll be awesome again. Again, what a June take. Is he good? I don't know. And if he is, they'll be good. Thank you. Thank you. You make so much more money than me doing this sports media to come up with that. If Jalen Hurts is good, the team might be good again. Wow. What a take. And are you sold on Jalen Hurts as a good quarterback? Are you sold on him as a great quarterback? Yep. So let's just end it there. Is there anything else that we need to say after the last season? The only thing that you could make is that you don't have a large enough sample size. He's really only played 2 seasons and played 4 games at the end where he was a raw talent, and you could see that the potential was there. That's why they moved on from Carson Wentz in those last 4 games. He was electric in that Arizona Cardinals game, going toe-to-toe with Kyler Murray in that season. But yeah, I'm pretty thoroughly convinced that he's good and has a good core around him to make him look good. Now, to finish it off, let's get to the all-time take. This is probably like top 5 takes of all time, especially within Philadelphia sports. Like, this was a truly awesome take. And you can't even get mad at this because of how ludicrous and ridiculous it is. And you have to really put in the work to get to this point. So Marcus Hayes was doing I think he was on the Jacob Media show, and they interviewed him about and asked a question about Jalen Hurts. And his response was, he's probably the most insecure athlete in Philly who uses the insecurity to his advantage. I think he knows what his physical limitations are and always have been. And that's one reason he works so hard to optimize every bit of ability that he has. I would like to take my cap off and bow for coming up with that take. You have to work really hard and do a lot of mental gymnastics to come up with the take that Jalen Hurts is insecure because he works hard. It pretty much goes against anything that you would know. And Jalen Hurts has always come off as the most secure, most confident person that we have seen in quite some time. And there are other athletes in the city, I'm looking at the Sixers, who read into the media too much and seem to be online too much. And we see that with other people and athletes within the NFL itself. I think Kyler Murray is probably the least secure in terms of his talents and stuff like that. So for Jalen Hurts to be this insecure guy is so funny, and a word I never thought would be tossed around with him. I think he's aware of his talents, if that's a better word for it, that he isn't the strongest arm in the league, and he's not Mahomes, and he's not Justin Herbert, and he plays to his strengths. But I don't believe that makes you insecure. Insecure is the type of personality, a guy with a small dick who drives a big pickup truck to make up for it and overcompensate. Jalen Hurts has really never tried to overcompensate for anything on the field, off the field, with his talent and with we'll call it, lack of arm strength for this situation, even though he threw an incredible deep ball last year. He's always just, kind of been aware and is just like heady leader, and he knows that he's a dual threat, and he keeps himself safe for the most part, getting out of bounds. He makes the throws that he needs to make, and he's improved over time as a thrower. So I think he's very aware, but insecure is not the right word. And this is a guy who's never really looked rattled on the football field. Even in the biggest moment last year against the Chiefs, he led them down the field to tie the game at 35 when they got behind late in the fourth quarter. In the second quarter, after his fumble, that was the perfect place to get rattled. What did he do? Lead a touchdown drive down the field after that as well. So I just feel like he's always been composed. He never lashes out at the media. He doesn't ever seem to be in a situation where he is rattled. You've never heard a negative headline about him. He seems to be very aware of himself, and that's a much better word than insecure. because I think there are a lot of insecure athletes, and Jalen Hurts is the flat line, never going to be that. But I do applaud that take. That is an awesome June football take. You have to work hard and you have to be dedicated to your craft as a hot take media member. And if you are a subscriber here and you don't live in Philadelphia, Marcus Hayes is that guy who has these ridiculous, ludicrous hot takes. This is some of his best work. This is Picasso of hot takes here in Philadelphia media. So you can't even be mad at this. None of these you can be mad at, because these are just guys filling airtime, looking to go viral in June when it's 2 months till they have something to really talk about, and they have to talk for hours. And we don't have to talk for hours. Let's cut it at 10 minutes here. We'll be back this week, full show. Kevin's doing some short videos as well on the Cowboys. Again, make sure to subscribe. A lot of content coming. Be ready when the season starts, because that's when our hot take season starts. We'll have a lot to get into, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That
Be
it?
the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.